Hi everybody! In War Thunder, an enemy's fate can be decided by a single shot. If you want to make sure you don't miss, especially if the enemy is far away, you need to know how to use your tank's sight. Today we are going to teach you a useful skill – range finding. There are three main range finding methods in War Thunder. We are going to explain them all, from the simplest to the trickiest, and discuss potential pros and cons. How many? 200! What do you mean 200? What do you mean how many? Range finding with a gunner. This is the simplest, fastest, and probably most accurate option. All you have to do is assign a button to range finding in the settings. Control settings, tank control, MISC, range finding. Now in naming mode, pressing the key will order your gunner to calculate the approximate distance to the target in the crosshairs. The calculations take a while, and their accuracy and maximum range depend on your gunner's range-finding skill. The better trained they are, the fewer mistakes they'll make when calculating distance. A new recruit might be off by 100 meters, where an experienced crewman will be off by only a few dozen. The maximum range using this range-finding method is 1,200 meters. Some modern tanks might have a full-fledged rangefinder module. It can be installed beforehand when upgrading the tank. With a high-tech gizmo like that, the errors in the calculation will be even smaller and won't depend on your gunner's skill level. The maximum range-finding distance depends on the type of rangefinder and on the skill level of your gunner. You can't use complex equipment unless you know what you are doing. So a more basic rangefinder will provide you with the calculations up to 2 kilometers, but a chieftain laser rangefinder, for example, will give you up to 5 kilometers. Needless to say, there will still be some room for error. Even an advanced laser rangefinder can make an error of plus or minus 25 meters. In general, the range-finding method is the best option for new tank commanders who are still mastering firing. The major drawback is the time it takes to perform the calculations, and then there is the chance that your gunner will mess up. My bad! By eye. This is the most popular method among War Thunder players, not because the players think that they are overqualified, but because they just don't know that there are more effective methods. Anyway, this method will justify itself as you gain experience, once you can sense distance in the game on an intuitive level. But in order to do that, you'll need to have a good grip on the ballistics of a given weapon. All we can do is recommend that you start learning ballistics with long-barreled cannons and armor-piercing shells. Their ballistics is the simplest and easiest to understand. Every new tank has to be broken in a test drive or on the training ground. Don't take a new tank into battle until you are more or less used to it. Everything else is just a matter of practice and reflexes. Don't forget that skills are what really makes the game. As you gain experience, you'll only need a smaller amount of time to aim. The main drawback is that it takes hours and hours of training. Now let's move on to the real hardcore stuff. Range finding using sight. Not many players know that the notches on the standard sight are very useful. You can use them to determine the exact distance to the target via simple calculations. Get your notebooks and calculators ready. Okay, let's take a closer look at the sight. The horizontal line is aligned with the mil markings. Every mil marking on the line increases the number by 4. It goes 4, 8, 12, 16 and so on. And the vertical line shows distance in meters with the vision value of 200. Now we are going to need the dimensions of our target, its length or width, depending on the target's position in the area. If you want to determine range with an accuracy of up to a meter, you'll need exact measurements. However, you can use approximate dimensions based on the type of a target. The average length of a light tank is 5 meters, a medium tank is 6 meters, and a heavy tank is 7 meters. There will still be some room for error on your range finding, but you won't have to memorize all of the values. Let's get to the calculations. Mark the target on the mil scale after calculating how many division values it occupies. Divide the sum by the length of the target. The end result will be the distance to the target in meters. That's it. Here's a couple more examples. By the way, you can also calculate the distance to the target using your binoculars, but the division value of their mil marking equals 5, not 4. However, you can use binoculars from the cover, and you'll already know the distance to the target before you start firing. Needless to say, this method works best for skilled SB soldiers who prefer total game immersion. However, it will be also extremely useful for guns that take a long time to reload. You are better off spending extra time calculating distance than wasting 40 seconds waiting for your next try. This method's main advantage is that it's the most accurate range-finding option. You can't argue with the science. The main drawback is that it all depends on your ability to make quick use of data and a calculator. Oh, one more thing. You can add your own sights to the game. Check out the War Thunder Live portal. Players are making amazing templates that you can download and install in a dozen clicks or so. Great! So we've been introduced to the range finding. What else do we need to know? How about entering sight range? This is for when you've determined the necessary distance and are about to start firing at the same range for a long time. It makes sense to log the crosshairs on this marker. To do this, set a key for entering sight range via the following path: Settings, Controls, Tank Control, MISC, and to sight range. After that, you'll be able to move your crosshairs to the necessary range marker. It isn't the quantity of your shots that counts, it's the quality. And good range finding is the key to accurate firing. Now you know more.